Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week?
Weeks after delivering anti-strike comments during a fan convention, actor Stephen Amell was spotted on the picket line in New York on Friday, August 11th, wearing a black SAG-AFTRA strong shirt and carrying a sign. Amell was on the other side of the country from his former Arrow co-stars and creative team, who struck together in front of Warner Bros. Studios in Burbank during a planned reunion picket. Amell earned criticism from fellow union members after seeming to speak critically about the strike on July 30th at GalaxyCon in Raleigh, North Carolina. In a widely distributed clip, he said, quote, "I support my union, I do, and I stand with them. I do not support striking, I don't. I think that it's a reductive negotiating tactic. I find the entire thing incredibly frustrating. I think the thinking as it pertains to a show like the show I'm on that premiered last night, I think it's myopic," end quotes. On August 1st, Amell took to Instagram for damage control, writing, quote, "I'm simply sad that we don't have a chance to celebrate a show that all of us figuratively and I literally broke my back for. At least for the foreseeable future, I choose to stand with my union. When you see me on the picket line, please don't whip any hard fruits." With that being said, Andre, how important do you feel it is to vocalize your support and display solidarity with worker strikes? And do you think that SAG and WGA demands are unrealistic, like the way the CEOs of these truck companies are saying they are?
First and foremost, that's Stephen Amell impression. Bitch, get out!
It's giving acting challenge.
It's giving very much so. But yeah, it is incredibly important to support and stand in solidarity with worker strikes, because even if it isn't your job where the strike is occurring, the effects of a worker strike reverberate everywhere to some degree. The success or failure of a strike could change so much about how big corporations look at workers at lower levels. Billionaires don't become billionaires from being fair. They get that money from the exploitation of the poor people they employ. Most of that exploitation comes from paying people well under their true worth to the company. Billionaires and big corporations count on poor people, never realizing their true worth, which is why they try so hard to shift the public consciousness into believing that strikes and strikers are bad and that people are just being greedy and so on and so forth. It's all just projection, because they know that they have no power to leverage if there is no one who will work at their companies. And speaking specifically about the WGA and SAG strike, I think it goes without saying that Daquon and I here at the Melanin Margin stand with the WGA and SAG. The guidelines state that podcasters are to refrain from promoting work from any struck companies, and we will be adhering to those guidelines moving forward until the strike has ended. But back to the question. I don't think that the SAG or WGA's demands are unrealistic at all. I just think that the AMPTP just wants us to believe that, so that this pressures SAG and the WGA to break their strike. But it isn't going to work in this new day and age, because information is entirely too readily accessible for the AMTPT, whatever the fuck the name is, to try to play that game anymore. SAG and WGA are united more now than ever before, and most of the public is on their side, because we're all seeing just how rapidly the industry is changing for everyone. AI is here and it's not going anywhere, and because of this, if the WGA and SAG don't get protected from it now, the studio heads will work hard to ensure that one day we won't need writers or writers' rooms or actors, because they'll let AI take care of it all. They have already been in talks with having AI write screenplays and have background actors get paid a one-time fee to have their faces and bodies scanned so that these studios can use their likeness in perpetuity without ever having to pay them again. This could effectively close even more pathways for new actors and writers to break into the industry. It's already starting to happen in so many different ways already. A new show that we're not able to reference from one of the shrunk companies just released a show with a theme that has been completely generated by AI. The show creators claim that it was because they wanted it to look computer generated, but that's utter bullshit. There are several artists and VFX teams out there who could have done that and better. What the studio representing this show was actually doing was testing the waters of public consciousness to see if we'd accept an AI-generated product to slowly make this more widely accepted so that they can hire less and less people. The demands of the WGA and SAG are proposing are in an effort to not only save their own careers, but to preserve the career path of future generations of actors and writers. But another thing that I think is really alarming about all of this is that these lawmakers are so focused on the LGBTQ plus community and continuing to further marginalize the already oppressed, that the real threat of AI is looming hard and fast in the background. Because I hope people don't think that these billionaires are just gonna stop at the actors and writers when it comes to integrating AI into our day-to-day life. I hope they don't think that's what the T is, because not when these dollar signs are in their eyes, bitch. That's not how that works. You really think that they will, won't, if they haven't already, be looking into ways to integrate AI into their companies as well so that they can dissolve some of those lower level jobs? Because I can assure you that this is definitely on their minds. If we don't start to create laws that regulate AI and how it can be used, there's no telling how many jobs will become obsolete in the future, which could continue making the rich richer and the poor even fucking poorer. But Daquon, what do you think, bitch?
Girl, we both know they love to cut a corner.
Oh, bitch, you already know.
Cut a corner. They're like, oh, we don't have to pay somebody? Let's do it.
Done.
Consider it handled. But I think that it is so important to show your solidarity with strikes because that is how strikes work.
Yes.
Strikes work because there is a collective leverage, that there is collective bargaining and a union among members. But that doesn't happen when you're criticizing a strike because you don't feel like you can celebrate your show, or you don't feel like your show is being celebrated enough, or X, Y, and Z. It is honestly kind of selfish because at this moment, you are caring about your emotions and your egos versus the needs and wants of all of your fellow actors and writers. Like, let's be real. These people are asking basically for respect, to respect their time and the amount of energy that they put into the work by being paid fairly, by respecting their creative processes, by making sure that they don't have just AI written scripts and maybe one human to edit it, if that. And they are asking for these companies to respect their image, not scanning their bodies and faces to put them on some AI so that they can use it in perpetuity. Like, that right there is wild.
Yeah, very.
And so for somebody like Stephen Amell to be like, I don't support striking, it's reductive. It's like, how is it productive? How, Sway?
Please.
Because it's just, strikes are and can be an incredibly effective way to get demands done. It shows that, look, at the end of the day, you need us. And we are not going to work for you until you give us our basic needs and respect us as workers. Because these billionaires, these production companies, these CEOs and heads, they don't respect their workers. They don't respect their employees. And like you said, it's not going to stop there. Like, you think the CEO of Walmart respects their employees? You think Bezos respects
Come on.
employees.
Come on.
It's
Yeah.
it's going to be such a shock to some people when
Mhm.
they see AI taking over. I mean, people have talked about it before with like McDonald's getting rid of cashiers in favor of those little
Mhm.
machines where you put your
Yep.
orders in. It's going to be something that grows and grows and grows. And I'm not saying that to like fearmonger. I
Yeah.
don't
No.
think that we should be scared of AI. Like you
No. Yeah.
said, now is the time that we get ahead of the game in terms of
Exactly.
AI, protecting human rights and our rights
Regulating
as
it.
workers and regulating how AI can be used not only in entertainment, but in our society as a whole. Because AI could be incredibly useful. It could
Very.
be a
Mhm.
powerful tool for us to use, but it's not going to be that tool if we're using it to replace human beings.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, do you think that do you think that it's unrealistic, like the goal, like what the AMTP, what the
Oh,
WGA and SAG are asking for?
absolutely not. It is
Yeah.
like it's
It's bare minimum,
honestly
really.
the
I think
bare
should be asking for
minimum.
more.
It it's what they should be doing. And I
Yeah.
think that it is propaganda and it's the
Yeah.
agenda of these production companies to make it out that these are unrealistic things that these
Yes.
actors are acting for, or it's rich actors asking for more money.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we have to realize that SAG is not just the top
The
dogs
rich.
in
Yes.
acting
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
rich.
Yeah.
If anything, it is so important that even the rich actors are picketing and striking and
Mhm.
making noise because A, they have the platform, B, they have the resources to help fund the
Mhm.
strike, and
Exactly.
C, they can have so much persuasion power in
Yes.
these and negotiating leverage. And so it is not something where people are being greedy or selfish or,
Yeah.
trying to be lazy, like these producers are saying. It
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
literally workers just asking to be respected. And we should
Yeah.
respect that. We should support that. And honestly, like, we should be taking notes. We should be making sure that
Exactly.
we
That part, bitch.
understand.
That part. Yeah.
We should be making sure that we understand what's happening right now because this strike is one of many that is
That are
happening.
coming. Yeah.
There are so many
Long
strikes
time
that
coming.
are
Yeah.
already happening and so many strikes that are to come. So it is important now that we tune in, that we understand how solidarity works, and we understand the importance it is to protect workers' rights.
Yeah, and I'm also really, disheartened by the people who are crossing picket lines. Aside
Mhm.
from the fact of it being wrong and
Right.
shady, it's counterproductive to the movement and affects both the picketers and the person who crosses the picket lines. The people on the SAG and WGA picket lines are fighting for fair pay for the little people. Everyone sees, just like you said, the famous rich faces of these big name actors picketing with everyone, and it just assume that this strike is mainly to make rich actors more wealthy, and that's simply not true. That's just what the AMPTP is trying to get us to believe. But what is actually happening in these is that these big name actors are standing with the up and coming actors and writers who aren't super rich or well off enough to be able to afford being out of work for extended periods of time. When you cross picket lines, you're not just hurting you're not hurting the rich actors nearly as much as you're hurting the young actors and writers who are trying to break out into a business where the people in charge want to make it even harder for them to pursue their career path. Not to mention that you're doing a major disservice to yourself because even though it may not seem like it now, but if you have any interest in pursuing a career in the arts, you may need to join one of these two unions, and they will remember who was standing with them and who was standing against them. But for those people who have declined, those offers that came to their inbox about promoting a movie, going to a premiere, and declined them to stand in solidarity. I would say make sure you remember the offers they brought to you when that strike ends, especially if you are a person of color or a Black person. What we often hear from these studios and these big name brands is that when a successful Black influencer gives them a quote of how much they charge for promotion, they give them that tired excuse of, we just don't have it in the budget. It's just not in the budget. But now they're running to you, offering you 2, sometimes 3 times your asking rate to cross a picket line. And what that should let you know is if they wanted to, they would. When this strike ends and they start to pay these actors and writers fairly, make sure you remember and recognize your worth as well when you are approached by these big brands in the future, because they've always had the budget. They just didn't want you to think that they did, so that they could pay you less than what you know you deserve. This is one of the main reasons why this strike has been going on for so long. It's not because the studios can't afford to meet these actors or writers' demands. They very much so can, and then some, which they fucking should. But, that's a whole nother conversation. But they are holding off because they know that if they meet these demands, then that means that other people could unionize, like the VFX teams, which they already are, animation teams, and so on would follow suit as well. These studios and brands depend on taking advantage on someone in the chain of their business in order to create their billions. And if they know that they can pay and treat one group fairly, if we know they can pay and treat one group fairly, then they know that others would ask for the same, which is why we need to support these strikes, because when we make them pockets hurt badly enough, if we make them pockets hurt badly enough, they hopefully will give everyone in the chain fair working conditions, livable wages, and respect. But, that's kind of like a dream, hopefully. But like, I think that, it's a dream, but like, the sad part is I think that people just don't really seem to get that idea that if you don't support these strikes, then you're just hurting you're hurting everybody. It's not, and you're hurting yourself in the process too. Right. Point blank example.
Like I don't understand scabs. Like,
yes,
it does not compute in my brain because you're literally going against your own self-interest. Like, these people are fighting for you to be respected. Yeah. These people are fighting for you to get a fair wage, that for everybody to get what they want. And you crossing a picket line so that you could get a one-up, girl, A, it don't look good.
At all.
B,
the optics, bitch.
The optics. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And B, it's not going to last.
It's all.
Not going to last at all, because you may get this little bump right now, but when the strike ends, the demands are met, etc., people are going to remember that.
Exactly.
People are going to remember that, and that's going to affect a lot of different decisions.
Your bag in perpetuity.
Right. Your bag in perpetuity. So it doesn't make sense to me to cross a picket line. I think that people who cross picket lines are honestly kind of selfish. And it's something that I think it's so important to know, that even just one person crossing a picket line diminishes a strike. Exactly. It's one of these things where I think sometimes we think like, oh, it's only one person. Oh, it's only like one comment that they made, X, Y, and Z. But we don't realize that one comment can turn into two people can turn into 6, and it just grows and grows and grows. And we can't have an individualistic mindset when it comes to this. We have to be thinking about the collective. And it's so important for us to realize that as soon as possible, because like you said before, they got the money. They
Been
got
had it
plenty of money to meet
to do
these
that and
demands.
more so.
These billion-dollar companies that are making billions on top of billions, they have the budget. The budget is there. They
Always
can
been.
find the money because they find it when they want to. When they want somebody to cross that picket line, they'll find some extra money. When they want somebody to head up this company and be the CEO, they'll find some money for them to pat them billionaire pockets.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the everyday person, the little person, it's always we don't have the budget because they don't care enough to find the budget. And that's honestly pretty sad.